folks, Rachel here from Beads by Verchiel, bringing you a tutorial on wire wrap rings. Thank you for joining me, whether you're live or whether you're watching me on the replay. Please do give me a thumbs up and do pop me a note in the comments so I know you were present. This one is bradorite with silver plated wire. This one looks like an amethyst, but it's actually just a purple glass bead. Can go larger. This one's a tiger's eye. This one is just an ivory pearl using 0.8mm wire. I wouldn't recommend anything bigger than 0.8 because you'll struggle to get the wire into the bead hole. You could probably get away with 0.7, but 0.6 is going to be too thin. You can either use 6mm beads or 8mm beads. The smaller the bead size, the harder it is. I suppose you could put a couple on. And I just want to talk you through the different types of tools, what to use, what not to use. It's a good idea to either have your ring at hand, or if it's for someone else and you're going to make it regularly, to have a ring sizer. Plastic ones are just as good. And what I would and wouldn't use, this type of mandrel is okay for sizing, but it's not when you're actually wrapping it around, because if you look, this has got a flat piece there and that will indent your wire. It's okay for a measuring tool, so you really need something that's round all over. You're going to need a good set of cutters, wire straighteners, absolutely brilliant tool, cutters and chain nose pliers. A nylon hammer is ideal. That's what you want. Don't use a metal hammer on your wire because it's plated. You're going to take the plate off the surface. Now don't laugh, but if you've been camping you might have one of these, okay? If you're desperate, this will do the job because it's a rubber mallet. Just don't go too heavy-handed with it. So 0.8mm, I would suggest, oh behave, I'm going to measure 12 inches. Now, first of all, measuring. If it's this size, pop it on your mandrel and just mark it about 1 to 2 mil below where it comes to. The reason why you're going to make it bigger is by the time you've got the bead in, it will take up some of the inner diameter. You just simply put a little mark so that you know where to make it, but do it in pencil because you can rub it out. If you haven't got a ring, you then use your ring sizer, you pop it on there and you'd pop a little mark on here so you know where to go. I've got my 8mm bead. I got my two ends here. I'm going to bring the two ends together and I'm going to pinch the sides. It's really important that you do tweak those bits at the end. And then you would pop it wherever your pencil mark is and bring one wire above the other. I'm going to turn it round so that you can see. Okay, one wire above the other. So you're going to keep those wires and then you will wrap it round so that you've got it twice at the back, and if we turn it round at the front, you've got one above the bead and one below. I'll just show you again. So you don't want your wires twisted. That's at the back, that's at the front. And now I call this cat and mouse. So one goes up, one goes down. And you are going to hug that bead. Let's bring it round. I'm going to go behind the other wire. And you do that about 3 to 4 times. So we have one one down and one up. Let's just turn that round so you can see. Don't cross your wires at the back. That's what we've got here. This is quite a rustic look. You can go as many times as you want to. Let's just go once more. All right, I'm going to trim these down a little bit because it makes the next stage a lot easier. Just under an inch. So there's where we're at. Now we are going to make these little bits at the side. And the most difficult thing at this part is actually where these wires want to cross. Now you could always use a little bit of masking tape to tape it down. Whoops. Now don't worry too much if you find that it's a bit out of shape at this point, because we are actually going to pop it on a mandrel. So I'm just wrapping that round a couple of times. So that secures it in place. 1, 2. And if you need to, just pull that a little bit tighter. Lift up that tail with your cutters, have the flat part against the wire, and you always want to cut your wire so that the wire is on the outside of the ring, and that way you don't have any nasty nicks against your skin. And using your chain nose pliers, just ease that down. Oh, that one's gone down a bit better. There we go. Right, last part. Let's go back to the mandrel. Pop this back on the mandrel. Nylon jaw hammer or your camping mallet, and then the reason why we do this is number 1, to shape it, number 2, to work hardened. So with any metals, when you hammer it, it actually hardens the metal. You can hit the sides. I wouldn't recommend you hit the front, you don't need to. I always like to take it off, put it back down again and re-hammer. Top tip, if it's a bit small, try and push it down the mandrel and it will stretch a little bit. So there you have your wire wrapped ring. Now pop any questions that you've got in the thread. I'm going to make another one because if you just want to have a go but you don't want to invest much money in it, there's a couple of options. Smaller Pritt stick, you can use that. You could pop down to your local DIY store and you could get yourself some doweling. Now when I've done lots of workshops and I haven't had enough tools, I've got some wooden doweling in small, medium and large, and my partner's just trimmed it down for me. With the gold I've cut 14 inches. I'm going to pinch those edges. So you position it where you want it, bring it round so it's top and bottom. Okay, and a top tip is you could either pop a bit of masking tape at the back if you're on your own and you're struggling and you haven't got as many hands as you need. Right, I think let's just turn that round. There you go. I think the trimming down a bit is actually the difficult part as well, because it's so easy to actually put the ring out of shape when you do that. I think the amethyst, the faceted amethyst, goes really nicely with that. Again, you could pop a little bit of masking tape at the back, and you just want this to anchor at the side. Lift that up, cut, and then using the tip of your pliers, just gently ease that down. Do the same the other side. We're going to gently hammer that. Alright, so there you have your ring, which I think is rather beautiful in the gilt. That was the one we did in the bronze coloured wire. Let's just show you some of the close-ups. So this was the labradorite. As you can see, that's just a slightly different size. This is the monster bead. Still works quite well. You have to tuck it around the back. So I hope that's given you some inspiration. Thanks again. I'll speak to you soon.